What is it about cleanliness that gives us feelings of such satisfaction, but also shame? I cannot count the times I have apologized for the mess, for the clutter, when hosting people after doing an insane clean before they arrived. Keeping a clean house for some people is a point of pride. For others, it's not as important, and the clutter is like another member of the family. It is spring in Saskatchewan, whether Mother Nature chooses to play along or not, and with spring comes the annual cleaning. Turn a new leaf, fresh year ahead. During the pandemic, we really got into cleaning, and while we aren't washing our groceries anymore, there are some tried and true tips and tricks that might help you out. Cleaning and decluttering can really refresh a space, but it can also bring on feelings of overwhelm and create a bigger mess than you started with. And today, we're going to lean into spring cleaning, and we're doing it with one of my favorite experts and content creators out of Calgary. That is Sarah McAllister from Go Clean Co. She went absolutely viral during the pandemic, and she's built a following and grown her company out of it. And she's going to help us through this gently. We also want to hear from you. Do you have a tried and true spring cleaning method of your own? Maybe a cleaning hack that was life-changing? We'd love to hear it. Or if you need some advice, we're here for that too. Call 1-800-716-2221 or email bluesky@cbc.ca. So if Go Clean Co. sounds familiar to you, it's because people really started following her during the pandemic. I'm talking about Sarah McAllister. She grew her local Calgary home cleaning company into a globally recognized brand, teaching millions of people her tried and true methods. 2.4 million people follow her account on Instagram. They also have a presence on TikTok, Pinterest, and YouTube. She joins us now from Calgary. Welcome to Blue Sky, Sarah.
Hi, thanks for having me.
I have to tell you, there's a few people in the office here who are fangirling, who bought your squeegees and window cleaning products, and I'm supposed to tell you they actually work, which you already know, but it's one of those things where you see something, you may be influenced, and it may not go as planned for you. So just know there's people here that are very excited that you're joining us today.
Well, tell them thank you for supporting me. I don't like to do any hacks that don't work. I just like to show the stuff, the real grind and the satisfaction, so you guys can get motivated online to follow too.
Okay, before we get into tips and tricks, I'd love to talk about your backstory. I understand you started Go Clean Co. in 2018. You did have some social media following at the time, and then the pandemic hit. Walk me through how it started. Give me the how it started, how it's going pitch.
Yeah. Okay. Well, we are on 5 years right now. So a lot has changed in my life since the pandemic. But how it was going was I had two businesses at the time, and both of them were closed down because of, lockdown. But one of them was a cleaning company and the other one was a dog walking company. So I was in the home service business really. And so because we weren't allowed into people's homes, I already had a smaller following on the internet. So I just decided to clean everything in my house, but share all of that knowledge, which I already was doing, but not to the degree of what I was doing because we were all at home like cleaning together. So I was really able to show a lot of the stuff that I used in my clients' homes, the residential cleaning tips. And I spend a lot of money on cleaning supplies, testing things. And for me to be able to show something visually working immediately, and it's my money, not people having to spend their money on testing in the cleaning aisle, it really, really worked. And people just trusted me. And I've been lucky, but I've been working hard for the last 5 years just to become like a trusted source on the internet for expert advice. And I think we're doing pretty good.
So though you did go from having to lay off 5 people to how many employees do you have now?
Right now we have like 12, right now we have about 10, but in between we've been up to 30 or 40. There was labor shortages, all of that stuff. A lot of the content has now pivoted to more online education. So we're teaching people all the time. We're cleaning people's homes. Sometimes we're cleaning them for free, but we're doing it for the content and doing it in Calgary and making sure that we're just showing people all the time how to clean stuff the best way that they possibly can and the fastest, most efficient way. So we're cleaning people's houses, but we're also videoing it. It's kind of like a TV production every single time. It takes a lot longer. You have to have a lot more patience, but we get it done.
So, do you still have a wait list? Because I know there was a time that you had because you're still a cleaning company. You're not just a content creator. Not to minimize the content creator thing, but you still have a business to run also.
Yeah. So the wait list is, I think right now, like maybe a year. So it's a while out, but and like that's the thing too. We kept growing and getting bigger and bigger, but the quality, when you're growing really, really fast as a business, the quality was really, control was really, really important to me. So I didn't want to just like hire and hire and hire, because we did hire a lot of people at first, and then we kind of had to bring it down a little bit because I didn't, we were being known as the best in the world on the internet, and then you hit those bumps. There's still bumps in growth that you have to deal with as a cleaning company. It doesn't matter how viral and how big you are online. You have to really figure out what's right and what's important, and that was really what's important to me, making sure that like all of the baseboards were clean and there weren't hairs left on the floor. And I have such incredibly high standards, so I just want to make sure that we do the best job that we can and everybody's trained to the maximum capacity. And that doesn't necessarily mean cleaning like 5 houses a day.
Okay. The numbers to call if you have questions for Sarah, 1-800-716-2221, or you can send us an email, bluesky@cbc.ca. I'm going to ask you a controversial question, Sarah.
Okay.
Is there a right way to clean the house?
No, I just think clean the house. Like, stop thinking about it. Like, I always say, like, think about how much time you spend thinking about going to the gym or thinking about dealing with that mess and walking past it for, a week, maybe a month, maybe 6 months. And then to time yourself how long it actually takes to clean it up, you're always really surprised in how good and rewarding it feels. So there isn't necessarily, I'm not going to say there isn't a right way. It's just pick up something and do something. That's my biggest thing. Like I always say start with one drawer or one room at a time. Don't try to haphazardly make, like you said at the beginning on the intro, don't make more of a mess, because that's what we do. We pull everything out and we get so overwhelmed. Whereas my method is we do one room at a time. If you can't do one room at a time, we're going to start with the Tupperware drawer. Like we're just going to laser focus, get that done, and then we're going to build off of that. So I do like starting with the kitchen first, though, because I just find that once you can clean a kitchen, you feel like you can clean anything. It's usually one of the dirtiest spots in the house.
So you mean the basket of laundry I folded in 5 minutes that had been sitting there for 4 days, and I will learn nothing from this, would only take me 5 minutes to do if I did it when it came out of the dryer?
Yeah, exactly. But it's until you get into a system and figure out how to do that. But I'm guilty of it too. There's a chair right here. I just had a pile of laundry. I had to move it so it wasn't in the shot of this camera. So life gets busy. Everybody has a job, and I don't really think that it's fair to say that we should be cleaning our houses every single Saturday. It's better to have less stuff and not have a whole bunch of clutter that we have to clean around, because it always takes a little bit more time. But life is for living. So let's try to clean it as fast and as efficient as we can. And that's why I like to share my tips online. But be realistic. Sometimes things get away from you. And that's why spring cleaning is so great. We can go really deep during spring and fall cleaning, and then we can maintain it on the in-between so you can enjoy your life.
Have you always been like this, the clean queen? Is this like a thing that your family knows about you?
Yeah, my mom and my grandma were both really clean people, but I have two sisters who are complete slobs. So it's, you would literally say my little sister is the worst. My big sister would be the in-between, but I'm the one. At one point we all lived together once we had moved out of the house, and I was the one that was like yelling at them on Saturday, like, everybody get up, we need to wash our bedding and clean everything. So it doesn't necessarily mean how you were raised. It just depends on whether it sinks in.
We're talking with Sarah McAllister, the founder and CEO of Go Clean Co. in Calgary. Do you have questions? Maybe you need some hacks or tips on how to tackle something in your home. Call 1-800-716-2221 or email us bluesky@cbc.ca. I'm curious, out of your staff, is it all women?
Yes, but I really pride myself in being a female-founded and all-female business.
Okay, so that's fair.
It's not. So that's the thing. I have been from the very beginning. So but we do have a percentage, because we can see the statistics online, and I have a lot more male followers on YouTube. I have and every day the male followers grows a little bit more, so we can see that. And they ask questions and they want to learn and they want to help. So we're being supportive on that. I don't like to say it falls on the mom or the woman in the house, because that's not fair either. We have to get rid of that narrative. Everybody, I always just say, if you want to live here, you got to clean and help out, because it's not fair for it to be my job. So
what do you get asked about the most?
Generally it's very specific things. So sometimes, hard water is a big issue where people have a lot of frost on the glass for their bathroom, or, it's building up on their shower grout or on the bathtub acrylic. A big question is, how do I get rid of the mold out of my washing machine, my front loading washing machine seal, because those are just a constant headache all the time. And the number one step with that is leave the drawer ajar in between washes, and the detergent drawer, leave it open a little bit so it has some airflow to dry out. And do not leave your clothes sitting for a long period of time in the machine. That's what smells. So you can do bleach. And I find that lots of people don't use bleach anymore in their regular laundry cycle. They're just kind of scared of it. But that bleach really does a lot to clean the machine as well. So you can do a disinfect bleach cycle. There's a great product called Tide washing machine cleaner. That's a really big question, but yeah, frosted shower glass, that's one that drives people crazy. Well, it's not supposed to be frosted, it's supposed to be clear.
So how do you, I mean, we have hard water at my house. So how do we get rid of the hard water problem without a water softener?
One of my favorite just like homemade recipes that we use at work is a couple of tablespoons of Blue Dawn dish soap and a cup of vinegar in a spray bottle. And you can spray that on the glass and let it sit. That's one thing people don't realize or give cleaning products enough of a chance, is they spray it really fast and then they wipe it off and then they think, oh, this doesn't work. A lot of the time the products need time to sit and actually work. So when we spray that onto the glass, the Blue Dawn kind of acts as a binding agent, so it doesn't all just run down the drain. It sticks to the glass. And give it like 15, 20 minutes. I've seen people leave it overnight and then just go in and scrub it with a soft sponge and then rinse it off, give it a squeegee. It works really, really good. And those are two things that you generally have on hand and you don't have to run out and buy. It works. Vinegar really breaks down that hard water, the white, like calcium and lime and magnesium buildup on the shower doors. That's what that is. It's just the mineral in your water.
As you're talking about letting things sit, I have bought things specifically, having watched you clean things, powdered Tide and Blue Dawn and bleach and Bartender's Keeper specifically. But if you were to give your top 5 must-have cleaning products in your home, and I don't mean from I know you have brand partnerships and stuff, but some of it's like vinegar. So what would you say things you should keep in your house all the time for cleaning?
Powder Tide has never paid me. So
really?
I can actually, never. So, because I kind of use it in an off-label way. So there's always some, massaging of the directions we have to do. So I can tell you right there, powdered Tide is 1 teaspoon. We use it 1 teaspoon at a time in a gallon of hot water. We wipe down the walls. We can mop floors with that. We can actually clean a bathtub if you want to use it in more of a paste, just add a little bit of water. A box of Tide. A smaller box of Tide is, usually around $15. Using it at a teaspoon at a time is very economical, but you'd be so surprised at how good it works. It has enzymes in it, so it helps with odors. It helps break down stains. It helps lift up. It has surfactants, and it has so much stuff in it. And it actually, when it was originally made, it was even used on dishes, you guys. It was used on, as opposed to now we have a different cleaning product for every single thing. I'm not saying use powder Tide on your dishes. It is not made for that anymore. But when it was originally manufactured by Procter and Gamble, it was made for all multi-surfaces because it was one of the original, it was just the original cleaner that they made. So, and you can use it on so many things. I use it to dust. It's not super great on something like glass. I would rather use Dawn dish soap on that just because it kind of leaves a white streakiness. It's not actually made for glass. Well, it's not made for a lot of the stuff I use it, but it works really, really good. And one day we were just cleaning at a client's house. This is pre-2020. And I remember just being my mom said to me, because she used to work for me a lot. And she's like, why aren't you just using powdered Tide? You're buying all of these cleaners but we know how effective that is. My grandma used it. I used it in the house. I still use it. And then I thought, like, that is a great idea. So we were only using it for specific things, and then we just shifted and used it for everything. You can add a third a cup of bleach into the water if you want to disinfect, but I just don't suggest people do that around carpet or anything like that. But it lifts off so much stuff. And that's the thing. Once people try it, they're blown away. Like, you've bought it. What do you think of it?
I still have the box because it lasts forever.
Right.
It really does last forever, and we use it to take stains out of clothes and everything. Build a little paste, rub it in, add a little more water, rub it in, let it sit. And it is shocking to me how well it works as a tried and true when you consider the cleaning market and all of the things out there that you really can just go back to the one thing that you had in your laundry room when you were a kid, because all there was powdered detergent at that time. So powdered Tide is your tried and true. What are the other 4 things that you would say people need to help keep a cleanish house?
So powder Tide, which goes a long way. I would say a good vacuum, like something that has suction, because once you start, it's really a good idea to just vacuum everything first instead of starting to wipe and like make a muck and dust and hair and everything around. It's best to vacuum it. So powdered Tide, a vacuum. Blue Dawn for glass and light fixtures. It works really good on stainless steel. And not straight. We're going to mix it with a little bit of water. Let me think. Powder Tide, vinegar for the shower, vinegar for the shower glass, bleach. Was that 4 or is that 5?
That's 5. With bleach is 5.
5, yeah, but don't mix vinegar and bleach. But the Blue Dawn shower mixture that I spoke about before, with the vinegar, because the vinegar will deal with hard water. Bleach will not deal with hard water, but bleach will, disinfect a lot of stuff, and it's good for toilets, all of that stuff. So it's really, a lot of the stuff that I use is just old school cleaning basics. Like, yes, there's amazing new products that are on the market, like Barkeeper's Friend. I love that product so much, but if I had to go clean a desert island, those are the things I would bring.
Can you, Nicole wants to know, what is Bartender's Keeper or Bartender's Friend, or I can't remember the exact, it's got the blue lid and you use it typically for stainless steel, but it works really well in the bathroom.
Barkeeper's Friend. Yeah. So it's like a stainless steel sink will never look shinier after you use Barkeeper's Friend on it. It's really good to, you have to read the label on how to use it. It's fantastic in toilets. If you have hard water staining, it's just a paste and it's not really chemically, like it doesn't have a lot of fumes or anything like that. It's fantastic in the sink. It's good for hard water breakdown too. Same thing. It's good on the bottoms of your pots. It has so many uses. It's good on copper. It's good. It will buff a scratch out of stainless steel. If you have a bad scratch somewhere, it will get rust off. We get those little tiny rust specks on our fridges. It will if you go very gently, it will remove rust off of stuff. It does so much. So there's a lot of uses for that product. It's fantastic. They have a whole entire line of it, but I really love the one that you're talking about with the blue lid. That's like a cream, similar to Vim, but they don't do the same thing.
As you're talking about all these cleaning products, you were talking about not mixing bleach and vinegar. I have watched some pretty crazy things get poured into toilets on TikTok. When you talk about its chemicals, let's talk about the chemicals.
Mm-hmm. So this is one of my things that I say online is, this isn't TikTok. We don't mix chemicals,
right?
Because and because people are mixing toilet bowl cleaner, bleach, all of these things that foam together just to get a reaction for a million views, which they're getting paid for, which it's not, to each their own. It's incredibly dangerous. So it's not a smart thing to do. So make sure when you're at home, if you don't have, there's a lot of science and the science behind cleaning. These are chemicals that we're working with, but everything's a chemical. Water is a chemical compound. Like, we have to remember that. So even though vinegar feels like something that's more green or natural, you can't mix that with bleach. So it's always a good idea to make sure that, if you use the vinegar and Blue Dawn on your glass at home in your shower, but then you want to add some bleach to scrub your grout, you can't mix those things. You have to rinse your shower out really, really well. So yeah, and you're so right. It drives me. It's one of my biggest pet peeves is those foaming toilet, I call them exploding toilets. Like, when is somebody you're supposed to call the fire department when you do. I have to teach all of my staff how important it is not to mix stuff, because if you don't know, it can be incredibly dangerous, and you just have to be very careful.
I'm Sam McKeag, and you are listening to CBC Radio 1. Today, we are talking with Sarah McAllister on Blue Sky, the founder and CEO of Go Clean Co. in Calgary. We're talking spring cleaning. I would love to know from you listeners, what's the first thing you tackle for spring cleaning? Give us a call, 1-800-716-2221, or send us an email, bluesky@cbc.ca. We were talking about chemicals. And Sarah, I'm wondering about natural cleaning products because there is a real push for more natural ingredients in cleaners because of some of the dangers that come with chemicals and being around kids and all of those things. Are there any tried and true natural products, lemons, vinegar, any of those things that actually clean?
That's a really good question because there was a huge movement of it kind of pre-COVID, and then we went much more back to disinfecting. I don't like to call it a chemical clean. Like to call it a disinfecting clean, and using more chemicals. But as we've gotten further away from 2020, there's been much more of an uptick of people wanting to go back to more of a greener way of cleaning. Vinegar is really, really good. Like we've spoken about it quite a bit here. It does a lot. It can do a lot in your bathrooms. It can do a lot. You can use vinegar on glass. Blue Dawn is quite a safe, like it's dish soap, you know what I mean? We're washing our dishes with it. There's quite a few that are on the market. A lot of them are Canadian products too, or they're packaged in Canada. So that's good to look into too. But it's sometimes you do have to, I like to always go with the gentlest cleaner first when I'm using something, when I see something, and then I will move on to the next one and the next and the next. Because again, you don't need to use a chemical all the time when you're cleaning a house. And maybe you want to just do a disinfecting clean every 6 to 8 weeks kind of thing. But we do notice when people lean more green or to more natural products, it's still a little bit dirty. Do you know what I mean? It's not wiping clean as well as it is when we're using something that's a little bit stronger. So, but to each their own. Lots of people, again, like you said, kids, dogs, all of that stuff. We want to be conscious of what we're using around our families.
Donna sends us an email. It says, and this is a good question, is there a way to clean the streaks from inside the oven window?
Mm-hmm. I actually have a really good YouTube on this on my YouTube channel, because you have to take the door off and then we have to take the door apart. That's the tried and some jobs I tell people you just have to do them the hard way. I know we can try to kind of stick a Swiffer or a stick in there and with a cloth wrapped around it. If it's really bad and it's been there for years, you just lift the door off. And then you can take the door panels apart and access the glass. It is not an easy job, so give yourself time to do it. That's the way to do it, and I've done it hundreds of times. It does work. It's not something that people are really willing to do. They're worried about breaking stuff, which is completely understandable. But sometimes people are willing to buy a new stove instead of try to clean the one that they have just to get rid of that stuff, which we don't want that to happen either, right? I always say, your stuff isn't wrecked, just clean it. Clean it first and see if you fix it, because by not cleaning it, we wrecked it already.
When you say that, it reminds me of I sound like such a fangirl, but I followed you for a long time. The cleaning of runners. So many people will toss their shoes because they are dirty and don't actually clean them. And you have found, and I think this is particularly helpful if you've got kids, white shoes are real trendy right now. What's the best way? Because you don't want to throw your shoes in the washing machine. So what is the best way to bring your shoes clean so that you aren't constantly buying new shoes? I mean, it's spring, it's muddy, in theory.
Yeah. Well, and I have an almost 13-year-old who only wears white Air Forces. That's the only thing she wears, no matter what. And I do put them in the washing machine. So, so I just put them in the wash. We can spray them and scrub them. I like Dawn Power Wash for spraying and scrubbing if you don't want to put them in the washing machine, and then, put them over the register to dry overnight. A magic eraser is really good for scuffs because they kind of have a little, not all of them are white leather, but I'm just generalizing here if you want to get scuffs off a magic eraser. But my gym shoes, I have Hoka's, all of those white shoes, I do put them in the washing machine with powder Tide. make sure the insoles are out and the laces are out, and then wash them. I wash them with usually 3 or 4 like older towels so they aren't hanging around in there a lot, just to soften so they don't get super beat up. And then I just put them on the heating register to dry overnight. It hasn't wrecked them yet, so I'll probably get an email from Nike after this, but like that's how I do it.
Okay, well that's impressive. We have Rhonda on the line in Regina. Rhonda, you have a comment. Go ahead.
Hi, Sam and guest. Yeah, I'm going to speak about green products. I was with a wellness company for some years, and I learned quite a bit during that time. And one of the things that we don't think about and are not educated about is that with products like the big one, Tide, Dawn, and so forth, those chemicals or a number of chemicals were developed during the Second World War. And then after the Second World War, it was like, okay, what do we do with these? And cleaning products developed. And the problem with the chemicals is that once they're flushed down the drain, then they, of course, get into the waterways, and they are then responsible for reducing oxygen in the water and having negative effects on the environment. And it's, of course, the cumulative effect of that because of all the households that are using these products and then flushing them down the drain. And with all the companies now that are coming out with green products, I dispute a bit that, you know, they may not clean as well as, say, chemical products might. But then in that regard, I think we also need to look at, you know, do we want necessarily an absolutely sparkling mirror or whatever it may be, as opposed to, you know, protecting our environment, which is, we know, you know, degrading as the days go by. So I have used all-purpose cleaning lotion for some years now that I find very effective. So I want to, just alert people to the fact that it's not just what we're using in our homes, but also what we're sending out into the environment.
All right. Thanks for your comment. Oh, go ahead. Sarah, go ahead if you have a question for her.
I was just going to say, what's the product? What's the lotion?
The brand is Nature Clean, and it's made in Quebec. It's Canadian, and I find that it's quite concentrated. So I used to use it sort of as is, and then I thought, you know what, I'm going to experiment a bit here. So I do like about a half water, half all-purpose cleaning lotion, and fill up a bottle, which then becomes my dish detergent. I've found it great for as a laundry. You can use it to you know, wash your laundry, but also if you I dilute some of it, so there's a fair amount of the lotion in a spray bottle, and then mix it with some water, and then I spray it on my clothes and let it sit for a while, and use it as a stain remover. So there's a number of options that you can use this product for. And
okay,
in
thanks.
Regina,
that's no.
Hello.
Yeah, you're still there.
Just one quick. In Regina, it's available at Old Fashioned Foods.
Okay, thank you so much.
Okay, thank you so much.
Sarah, I looked it up. It says this Nature Clean company, their products contain, they don't have sodium lauryl ether sulfate, SLES is the acronym, which is what their potentially harmful, they say the potentially harmful ingredients is. But it doesn't say what they do use. So I don't know what is making, what they're using, what their cleaning agent is in that company. But I guess it is a good point, depending on what's the trade-off, right, for using those more disinfecting cleans, chemical cleans versus using the more natural products. And I guess that's something people have to weigh for themselves.
Yeah, and like I said before, it really depends on what you want to use in your home and what you want to bring into it, right? So it's and I like to try a more gentle cleaner first before we go into something heavier. But sometimes when an oven is completely horribly burnt on and it hasn't been cleaned for 10 years, I do believe that us using an oven cleaner on it versus sending it to the dump is, we have to balance. I'm trying to balance it out a little bit. You know what I mean? But I fully understand that I always like to know what the cleaning agent is, because sometimes even though it is green, they're not necessarily the rating of how green they actually are. I use the word green just like eco, but it depends. Like sometimes the rating is not great. I don't know. I haven't pulled up this company, but it's always good if you're to remember what you're using. Cause again, like I said, absolutely everything is a chemical. Some people, like if you really overuse vinegar and you breathe it in and you're not wearing a mask, that is really hard on your lungs. So it's just important to remember that all across the board.
Robert sent an email. It says, you mentioned Barkeeper's Friend with the blue lid for stainless steel. I bought that, but it says do not use on stainless steel. That magnet will stick, anything that magnets will stick to, which is my case. It says use Bartender's Friend stainless steel cleaner and polish spray. Could you clarify this?
Okay. Well, I use it on stainless steel all the time. So it's just, so that's what I mean about like there's certain off-label use. So you should read your label, stick to it. But I do find when we have like a rust stain on stainless steel, I'm able to get it off with that. But
you have a motto though that is like test a small spot first.
Yeah. So well, every single cleaning product says test a small spot on the label before you use it. It doesn't matter if it says it's safe for paint, it's safe for your acrylic bathtub or your enamel coating, that kind of thing, because that's the thing. And the more I work with the cleaning, like these big, huge brands too, it's the surface that you're working with that is actually the thing you have to think about, because an all-purpose cleaner, a lot of those are not safe for marble. So it says all-purpose, all surface on it, and then people will spray it on marble. It will etch their marble. It needs to be resealed all the way to the top. So it's, again, test a small spot, see how it works. And if you have a big rust spot on your stainless steel sink, it's going to get it off. But, test a small spot. That's all it is. And it's also clean at your own risk.
We're talking with Sarah McAllister, the founder and CEO of Go Clean Co. in Calgary. If you have hacks for us, products for us, maybe you want to talk about what you like to tackle, or maybe you need tips, you can call us 1-800-716-2221 or send us an email, bluesky@cbc.ca. Sarah, what is the best bang for buck in spring cleaning when you want satisfaction? Like, where do you start to get that? Yes. And because I feel like when you get that satisfaction, it motivates you to keep going. So you mentioned cleaning a kitchen, but cleaning a kitchen to me gives me anxiety, just the thought of it, like the top of the cupboards, under the stove. Like if you're going to clean it, you got to clean it. So what's best bang for buck to motivate you to get there?
Okay. To roll back to like what you're saying about the satisfaction and the motivation, I think that a lot of the time too, especially for people who maybe work in an office, you don't have a lot of like hands-on things that you can see the fruits of your labor immediately as soon as you do it. So that's why that motivation of seeing something wipe really clean or I'm doing it, look, I fixed it, feels so good. So I totally like to capitalize on that motivational feeling. So, and lots of people would say start small. I just think starting in the kitchen, even though it might give you a little bit of anxiety, is a really great first step, because I do really believe it builds so much confidence, because you deal with a whole bunch of different surfaces and a whole bunch of different types of dirt and mess, so that when you do move into something like a living room or a bathroom, it makes you have so much more confidence in what you're doing.
Okay. That said, do you have to clean the inside of your dishwasher? And if so, how? I know the answer to this, and it's gross.
Yes. That's one. So if you were to ask me, the two places that are overlooked in a home is the washing machine seal I mentioned already once, and then like your front load washing machine seal, and your dishwasher, we really rely on these robotic things that are our helpers in the house. Like our dishwasher washes our dishes for us, so we don't have to spend the time doing it. And running your dishwasher saves way more water than doing your dishes by hand. So it is good to run your dishwasher more than it is to fill your sink up. I know that one straight from like the scientists at Procter and Gamble. So, but your dishwasher gets really dirty, especially if you're not like somebody who really likes to scrape their dishes before they load. And pre-rinsing adds more water waste. But anyways, besides the point, I'm going to say 99% of dishwashers nowadays have at the very bottom of it, if you pull your rack out, there is a drain and then there is a circular filter screen that you can unscrew and pop it out. And for those of you who have not had the pleasure of doing this ever in their life, it is so satisfying. And it's not just like, I like to say swamp slime, but a lot of the time, going back to hard water, your screen is completely clogged with that white residue, so the water isn't washing through. And if you do this, it's much less likely. I've seen people say, I had a dishwasher repair guy come and they just cleaned the dishwasher filter because it was completely clogged, and I paid the $100 to get him through the door. But meanwhile, I just had to take this thing out. So that's on my checklist of like, do that once a month. And you just scrub it out, you can clean it, and you can run a bleach cycle in your dishwasher if you want to disinfect it, make sure it's rinsed well afterwards, just to keep those smells. Lots of people's dishwashers smell. The other thing too is when you're looking in your dishwasher, there's kind of right where the door meets the bottom, there's usually a lot of slime and stuff built up there. I use the word slime loosely. It's food, hard water, build up. That's a lot of the time where the smell is coming from too. So again, these machines that we really rely on to help us keep the day-to-day upkeep, they have to be maintained too, so that they can do their jobs to the best of their ability. And we all complain about appliances not lasting as long. Like, we have to maintain those appliances too, or you got to call in somebody.
Jim sent in an email. He says, good afternoon. Question for your guest. How do you remove pet hair from upholstery that a vacuum cleaner with a small power head for upholstery will not remove?
Yeah. You know what's really good? Listen to these men. First of all, I love the
Those
Collins.
are both
Okay.
men. Yes, those are both men.
I know. I'm telling you, those are both men. That's fantastic. Okay. One of my favorite things for upholstery, so most vacuums kind of come with like a little tiny brush that has a little synthetic black hairs all over it. That works really good. So it's just like a nozzle attachment. It's not the horsehair one that I talk about on the internet, if you guys follow me, but this one, because that one's a little bit soft. This is a stiffer bristle brush that will really pill it up and pull it. Another really good thing is a pumice stone. I can never pronounce it right. Mm-hmm. That's what a lot of car detailers use in the interior of a car when they're detailing a car. That really gets it up out of the, because for some reason in cars, especially if I was a dog walker for so long, in cars that hair gets really stuck down into the carpet. A squeegee, the rubber of a squeegee, pulling it across your carpet or pulling it across of a couch, that will really help get it up too. So there's like 3 easy solutions. I hope that you have one of those things. Lots of people just don't think to use that synthetic hairbrush that comes. Lots of people think it's like for hard surfaces. It's actually really great for a chair or a couch.
Okay, let's talk about blinds and windows, because it is spring cleaning. And I know during the pandemic, I think I washed my windows more in that like year we were at home than I have before or since. Because there's something so satisfying about clean windows. But blinds, particularly, oh my God, what are they called? The pulley-uppy ones. You know what I'm talking about? Venetian blinds. Yeah, like slat blinds, Venetian blinds.
Yeah.
How do we get those to come clean without breaking them?
Okay. And one thing we don't do at work is I actually refuse to remove those because I feel like if you look at them, they break. But you can clean, like I say, that's a homeowner job. I like to say that. If you want us to remove them, we usually just clean them while they're still on. So number one, you clean your windows at the end of this. Do not clean your windows first because you're just going to make a mess. We use a teaspoon of powdered Tide and warm water and we vacuum them first. One of my best tips that I give is vacuum everything first, because if you just go in spraying a cleaner and then haphazardly wiping everything, you really turn the dust and the dirt and the pet hair into muck, and you really make a much like a bigger mess for yourself, because we've all tried to wipe up, wet hair or whatever it is. It's much harder to collect. So once you vacuum, sometimes you vacuum, you're like, dang, I don't even feel like I need to wipe that anymore. If your blinds are just really dusty, but vacuum the blinds first. That's one thing that I really like the horsehair brush for. And then we just use a good old microfiber cloth with powder tied in hot water, and we wipe them one by one. It gives you you don't have to go to the gym that day because it gives you a great arm workout. And the other thing I really like for blinds is a dishwasher pod in hot water. That's just an extra little hack that I use, because lots of time kitchen blinds are super greasy and you need a degreaser to clean them. Mr. Clean works really good. That's a degreaser too, but a dishwasher pod dropped in hot water. Like, I love using the stuff that you already have on hand, so you don't feel like you have to go to the cleaning aisle and spend $50 buying all of this stuff. Like, what do we have here that will work? It's the same as when you have to substitute something when you're cooking dinner.
Mm-hmm. Well, and then you don't also have to store it too, right? Which is also the other problem of where do you keep all these things. Susan in Saskatchewan is on the line. And Susan, I hear you have a product that you really believe in.
I really believe in this. Thank you for taking my call. So the product is called You're Out, YUROUT, like baseball. Anyway, we have used it successfully on a whole number of things, like cat urine, skunk spray, ketchup, smoke, lots of stuff. Our website is www.greenstem, all one word, so GREENSTEM.ca. It costs about $10 for a spray bottle. And we have used it on a great diversity of smells and stains.
Okay.
What do? You spray it on, saturate it, scratch it or rub it hard to make a foam, so you agitate it, and then you leave it for half an hour to an hour, and so that's incubating. So you saturate, agitate, incubate, and then it should be gone.
Okay. Susan, thanks so much for offering us that.
Thank you for taking my call.
No problem. Lois sent an email. She says, when I clean, I use baking soda, vinegar, and bleach. What I've done now is put the washer in the washing machine through the cleaning cycle using a fresh on the first day of every month. Is that a product?
A-Fresh.
Yeah. Uh-huh. She finds she hardly has to do any major cleaning, and she also uses the cleaning setting on her oven as well. Does that self-cleaning oven thing really work? I don't have that setting on my oven, so I have to go the old-fashioned way. But does that actually work, the self-cleaning options?
Yes. So it actually works if your oven is not, or as long as you clean your oven in the last year. That, like, if it's built up and it's been 5 years of splatters, it's not going to do a lot. You're going to have to get in there and scrub. But if you have like my mom said she uses hers once a month. Like, she's like, if I have a spill, I just put it on self-clean and I go from there. You should never leave your self-cleaning oven unattended, okay? Because lots of people are just scared to use it because it's such a high heat. Lots of people think, oh, I'll turn that on and I'll leave the house. Do not do that. Like, we want to make sure that it's safe, and open your windows, because it can kind of give a smoke when it's doing it if you're going to do it. But if you have a really dirty oven that you're like, I'm just going to run myself, say you move into a new house and the oven is atrocious and you think, I'm just going to run that, and it's really built up, baked on crud, it's really not going to fully touch it. And like, I have this, I got new appliances in the last year, and I have the steam setting on my oven, and I'm extremely disappointed with it. So it's just like, I don't think the steam setting really does a lot either. It's just easier for me to get in there and wipe. And the biggest thing is wipe up the spills as soon as they happen. You don't need to use a really heavy oven cleaner or anything like that. If you have a spill, let the oven cool down and then wipe it out right away, versus letting it splatter and splatter and splatter. And the more we bake it on, the harder it is to go, get off.
Okay, let's talk about your spring cleaning challenge, because we're coming up on the end of the hour, and I think it's really cool how you have it kind of blotted. One, it's free, and two, it's kind of plotted out over the course of a month. So it is April 2nd. It's a 4-week plan, so you could start right away. So how does it work?
So it is it's a 4-week plan, but we added a bonus week because just life gets in the way if you need to add, or if you're, in Canada and it just dumped 10 inches of snow on us last night. So I was supposed to clean my hot tub this week, is not happening. So, but sometimes we have to shift stuff, but yeah, it's a free download on my website. It's a list of, how to follow along. Everybody you get a week to kind of focus on certain rooms of your house. It gives you enough time. And we do it. This is the 5th year I've done it. Like the first, it was unofficial the first year that I did it because the first year was really COVID. But then we, created a program and a schedule and everything for everybody to, so we could all follow along. So we've been doing it online for the last few weeks, but this download's going to be available. It's still available on my website. It'll be available on my website for majority of spring, but we do. The grand prize, we give away a bunch of prizes, but the grand prize is you can win a full house cleaned by me and my team. So wherever you are, Canada or the US, will fly to you and clean the house top to bottom. Like I'm talking, we move you out of your house and we move you back in. We do insides of the cupboards, we scrub the grout, we do it all. And that's the grand prize and you just enter that by downloading the spring cleaning challenge. So that's how you enter. So our last winner was actually in Edmonton. It was a local person who won it. So, but we've been to Utah. We've done Vancouver. It's been and it's really fun because I get to meet my followers, these people who are like you, who follow me, and then I got to go into their house and clean it. The only stipulation is that we have to put it on the internet. So if you don't want your dirty laundry aired,
Literally.
Yeah, literally to 2 million people. Everybody gets to stay anonymous. We did change it originally. We were kind of we wanted to be able to show the people, but it became more and more clear people did not want to be on the internet they were like, it's okay to show my dirt. I just don't want to beat my face on there. So we were like, okay, you can opt out if you don't want to be front and center with your grime. So yeah, anyways, that's how you do it. And it's very clear. And there's a ton of information on my website. I have a blog. You can search it. I have a YouTube. I have all that stuff.
Sarah, this has been so wonderful. Thanks so much for giving us an hour of your time. I know you're very busy. And I hope that you have a lovely spring that involves lots of sparkle.
Yes, you too. Thank you so much for having me. I appreciate it.
That's Sarah McAllister. She's the founder and CEO of Go Clean Co. If you're on social media, just look up Go Clean Co. and you can find all that, as well as go to homework, not like homework, but housework actually.com, and you can find all the details.